International law can often feel abstract or removed from our daily lives, something that happens in distant courtrooms or is discussed by diplomats far away. Yet, at its heart, international law is about protecting people and upholding justice on a global scale. Its core principle is simple: no one, no matter how powerful, is above the law. The idea is to ensure that even the most influential leaders or military commanders can be held accountable for their actions. The International Criminal Court, or ICC, was established in 2002 by the Rome Statute. It was created as a court of last resort, stepping in only when national courts are unable or unwilling to prosecute the world's gravest crimes. This means the ICC acts as a safety net for justice, intervening when local systems fail or are compromised. The crimes under its jurisdiction are among the most serious imaginable: genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the crime of aggression. These are acts that shock the conscience of humanity and threaten international peace and security. However, the ICC's reach is not unlimited. It can only investigate and prosecute crimes that occur on the territory of, or are committed by nationals of, a state party to the Rome Statute. This means its authority depends on the cooperation and consent of countries around the world. Over 120 countries have joined the ICC, making it one of the most widely supported international courts. These member states have agreed to uphold the court's mandate and support its investigations. But some of the world's most powerful nations, including the United States, Israel, Russia, and China, have chosen not to join. They argue that joining the ICC could threaten their sovereignty and expose their leaders or soldiers to politically motivated prosecutions. This divide over the court's legitimacy and authority is at the heart of many international disputes today, fueling controversy and debate about the ICC's role in global justice. Despite these challenges, the ICC has investigated and prosecuted cases from Kenya to the Democratic Republic of Congo, seeking justice for victims of atrocities where national courts could not or would not act. Now, its investigation into alleged crimes in the Palestinian territories has become its most politically sensitive and controversial case yet, drawing intense scrutiny from governments and the public alike. As the ICC's work increasingly intersects with global politics and powerful interests, the stakes for international justice, and for the court itself, have never been higher. On December 15, 2025, the International Criminal Court in The Hague made a landmark decision, rejecting Israel's urgent bid to halt the ongoing war crimes investigation into its actions in Gaza. The announcement, delivered in a packed courtroom and broadcast worldwide, marked a pivotal moment in the pursuit of international justice. The ICC not only refused Israel's request, but also upheld the arrest warrants for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, both accused of grave breaches of international law. The warrants, issued after months of deliberation, sent a clear message that even the highest-ranking officials are not immune from accountability. The court's decision rested on its finding that it had jurisdiction over the case, since Palestine is recognized as a state party to the Rome Statute. This legal status grants the ICC authority to investigate alleged crimes committed on Palestinian territory, regardless of the nationality of the accused. The ruling reaffirmed the court's mandate to pursue justice wherever its member states are affected. The allegations against Israeli leaders are serious and wide-ranging, including the starvation of civilians as a method of warfare, the infliction of willful suffering, and direct attacks on civilian populations. Human rights organizations have documented these incidents extensively, and the court cited mounting evidence of humanitarian law violations in its decision. In a parallel move, the ICC also issued similar arrest warrants for several senior Hamas leaders, citing their own alleged involvement in war crimes and crimes against humanity. This dual approach underscored the court's commitment to impartiality, holding all parties to the conflict to the same legal standards. The majority decision hinged on the pivotal votes of Judges Gocha Lord Kipanidze and Erdan Abalsurin Damdan, whose legal reasoning and commitment to upholding international law shaped the outcome. Their votes were instrumental in affirming the court's jurisdiction and the validity of the warrants. With no police force of its own, the ICC depends entirely on its member states to enforce arrest warrants. This means that Netanyahu and Gallant now face the real risk of arrest if they travel to any of the more than 120 countries that recognize the court's authority, severely restricting their international movements and diplomatic engagements. The court's ruling sent immediate shockwaves through both Jerusalem and Washington, prompting urgent meetings at the highest levels of government. The United States, a key ally of Israel, responded swiftly, voicing strong opposition to the ICC's decision and warning of potential diplomatic consequences. The diplomatic fallout was swift and severe, with international leaders and organizations weighing in on the implications for global justice, accountability, and the future of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In a swift and forceful response, the United States acted within days, announcing a new round of economic sanctions targeting 2 International Criminal Court judges. These judges had played a key role in allowing the investigation into alleged war crimes in Gaza to proceed, a move that Washington strongly opposed. The targeted judges, sitting at the heart of the ICC in The Hague, became the focus of U.S. ire for upholding the controversial Gaza probe, which the U.S. government claims is politically motivated and unfairly singles out its allies. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, speaking at a high-profile press conference, framed the sanctions as a necessary defense of both U.S. and Israeli sovereignty. He accused the ICC of overstepping its mandate and engaging in what he called political overreach, warning that such actions threaten the legitimacy of international law. The sanctions are sweeping. They freeze any assets the judges may have in the United States, block financial transactions, and prohibit American citizens and companies from doing business with them. This is a tactic the U.S. government typically reserves for those it deems national security threats, such as terrorists, hostile foreign officials, or major criminal organizations, underscoring the seriousness of Washington's message. The U.S. justifies its actions by pointing out that neither it nor Israel is a signatory to the Rome Statute, the treaty that established the ICC. As a result, both countries argue that the court has no jurisdiction over their nationals or their actions. While previous U.S. administrations have expressed skepticism about the ICC's authority, the Trump administration's move marks a dramatic escalation. For the first time, the U.S. is using direct punitive measures against international judges, signaling a new era of confrontation. The message from Washington is unmistakable. Any attempt by the ICC to pursue cases against U.S. or Israeli nationals will be met with tangible consequences, including economic and diplomatic retaliation. By taking this unprecedented step, the U.S. aims to deter the ICC from challenging its interests and to send a warning to other international bodies considering similar actions. The stakes for international justice and for the court's independence have never been higher. Now, the International Criminal Court faces mounting and unprecedented pressure as it weighs its next steps in a rapidly shifting landscape of global justice and power. In Jerusalem, the U.S. sanctions were celebrated as a diplomatic victory. Prime Minister Netanyahu thanked President Trump and Secretary Rubio, framing the ICC as a political weapon wielded against Israel. Israeli leaders argue their military operates under strict ethical standards and that their judiciary is capable of handling any allegations, making ICC intervention unnecessary. The term lawfare is central to their argument. They see the ICC's actions as an attempt to undermine Israel's legitimacy. U.S. backing provides Israel with a powerful shield, discouraging other countries from acting on the ICC's warrants. The alliance between Washington and Jerusalem deepens, further isolating the court. The divide between the ICC and its critics grows ever wider. The ICC condemned the U.S. sanctions, calling them an attack on judicial independence. The court insisted it would not be intimidated, reaffirming its commitment to impartial justice under the Rome Statute. ICC officials warned that targeting judges undermines the entire international legal order. Supporters argue the ICC is essential when national systems fail or are compromised by politics. By sanctioning judges, the U.S. is accused of creating a two-tiered system, one for the powerful, another for the rest. The personal nature of the sanctions is seen as an attempt to intimidate the judiciary. The ICC's defiance is about more than one case. It's about the future of global justice. The court stands firm, but the pressure is mounting. The latest sanctions are part of a broader U.S. campaign against the ICC and related organizations. The Trump administration has sanctioned multiple ICC judges and prosecutors, including Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan, especially over investigations involving U.S. and Israeli personnel. The U.S. has also targeted UN officials and Palestinian human rights groups for supporting ICC probes. This strategy aims to dismantle the network supporting international investigations, sending a chilling message to anyone cooperating with the court. The result, a climate of fear that undermines the ICC's ability to function. The U.S. is reshaping the landscape of international accountability through economic and political pressure. The court's independence is under siege. The ICC's investigation focuses on events since June 2014, with the most intense scrutiny on the war that erupted after Hamas's October 7, 2023 attack on Israel. The attack killed over 1,000 Israelis and led to a massive Israeli offensive in Gaza. The conflict has devastated Gaza, over 170,000 Palestinians killed, millions displaced, and infrastructure destroyed. Humanitarian organizations warn of catastrophe, starvation, collapsed healthcare, and widespread suffering. The ICC is investigating both sides, Hamas for the October 7 attacks, Israeli leaders for the conduct of the Gaza campaign. The legal question: did Israel's actions distinguish between combatants and civilians, or did they amount to collective punishment? The court must navigate a polarized, complex landscape to determine accountability. The stakes for justice and precedent are immense. The U.S. sanctions have split the international community. European allies, led by the Netherlands, condemned the move and reaffirmed support for the ICC's independence. Many see the court as a pillar of the post-war order, essential for preventing atrocities. Others, wary of U.S. retaliation or facing their own scrutiny, have stayed silent or offered muted responses. The controversy draws a clear line: supporters of international law versus defenders of national sovereignty. The world is divided over whether powerful states should be held to the same standards as everyone else. The future of global justice hangs in the balance. The ICC and the idea of international justice stand at a crossroads. The court will press on with its Gaza investigation and warrants, while the U.S. is likely to intensify its opposition. This sets up a prolonged confrontation with global consequences for law and accountability. The response of other countries, especially Europe, will determine the court's future legitimacy. The world must now decide: is justice truly universal, or only for the weak? The coming months will shape the fate of international law for years to come.